What's up, resellers? I'm Rebecca, and you're watching Rebecca the Reseller. Thanks for joining me today for another episode of Reseller Life! Exclamation point. Thanks for joining me. My guest today is Amber. You might know her as Amber Resells, and I'll let her explain kind of all of her handles and where you can find her. But hi, Amber, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. I'm excited to get for the conversation and to get to know you a little better as well.
Yeah, me too. This is awesome. Like we just said, you know, you get served to me in the Instagram algorithm sometimes, and then sometimes you're not there. And so you have to kind of find your favorite people and always make sure that you're on top of staying in touch with them, because sometimes YouTube doesn't want to put them in front of you sometimes.
It depends on the video, I think. They decide whether they like it or not.
Exactly. Let everyone know where they can find you as far as social media goes, so we get it out in the beginning, and then we'll talk a little bit about just some quick questions so they know what your reselling status is, and then we'll get into talking about your day.
Sounds good. So my main social media is my YouTube channel. So my YouTube channel is Amber Resells, and I try to put out a video a week on that channel, usually some kind of experiment or a what sold video. And I mainly sell on Poshmark, but I have recently started cross-listing on Facebook Marketplace and eBay. So my content will start to shift to cover all three of the platforms instead of just Poshmark. And I also do have an Instagram. My Instagram is Amber Resells, but over there, I'm not as strategic about what I'm posting. Like on YouTube, I try to make sure it's really informative or really interesting or both. Whereas on Instagram, I'll just post whatever I want. Like I don't really put as much thought into it. So.
Yeah. That's cool. No, I agree. And I'm learning a little bit more about that as well. And I've done, I guess, not experiments on purpose, but I've shared with people with my channel that I used to do more thread up during the pandemic because that's what ended up happening. I was homeschooling Geo and I did less Poshmark and more thread up. And as I did that, I shifted the channel a little bit, and then things started to go awry. And now that I've shifted back to Poshmark and stopped talking about other things, it's gotten better. So I'm like, okay, I guess that's the box that YouTube had put me in, is you're in the Poshmark box, you stay in the Poshmark box.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it depends on what your viewers want too. Exactly. Like if your viewers came to you for Poshmark and then you started doing thread up and they're not interested, they're not going to watch that. Because for me, like I do thread up denim, DIY denim boxes, and they get like a consistent number of views every time because it's like some portion of my audience cares about those videos.
Those guys show up and they're there for you. Well, that's awesome. So YouTube and Instagram, great. Now let's talk about some of the reselling status things, so that way everyone knows who may not be familiar with you, you know, kind of where you fall on the spectrum of reseller life. So your reseller status is full-time, part-time, it's complicated.
I say part-time to make it simple. I work full-time as an actuary. So I work at least 40 hours a week, sometimes more. And then I also obviously have YouTube. And so I actually put about as much time into YouTube as I do into reselling a lot of the time, because some of my videos take quite a bit of time to put together. So definitely part-time reseller, hobby reseller, however you want to say it. But it is nice to have a little bit of extra income every month. And for me, it's really fun. Like I love going to garage sales. I love going to thrift stores. I love shipping. I don't really love listing, but that's part of the process.
Right. We all have our favorite parts of it. I think as we talk about the day too, I think some people choose to share more about one part of the day or the other. So you can always kind of tell, even if they don't say which part is the part that they like and which part is the part that they don't enjoy as much.
Are you full-time reseller?
So I call myself a semi full-time. That's what I've ended on just only in the last few months. Like when I do my intros, I'm like, okay, so I'm a semi full-time reseller because I am a stay-at-home mom, but just recently Geo was, you know, home during the pandemic, but then now he's in full-time school as a way to make up for having been home for part of the pandemic. And so it's great because I have now basically full-time hours, probably a little shy of that, but I do dabble in other things. And I like, you know, doing thread up. I do my regular reselling like Poshmark where I'm listing things myself. But I do like creating my courses, and I do like, you know, working on my print on demand and other things. I'm more multi-passionate, and I like being able to flip through multiple things and not so much just be a reseller, though the channel is a reselling channel. And most of the content that I put out is reselling content because that's where I started and where I have the most to say, I guess. But I personally am okay for reselling to be one bucket amongst other buckets.
That's so what is what are the other buckets?
So reselling, YouTube and Instagram, or quote the Rebecca the Reseller, part of it. Putting out my courses and print on demand, or courses and digital downloads related to reselling. So any tool that I've made for myself in my business, measurements, forms, keywords lists, things like that, I've made available in a digital download Etsy shop. And so now that's available for other people to use in their business. And so that's gone well, and the courses. And then print on demand is where I create and design shirts for Amazon, and people can go onto Amazon and purchase them. And if they purchase one with my design, Amazon prints it and ships it and does all of that. But I just get the royalty. I don't have to keep any of these shirts in my house. I never actually see the shirts. So, that has a portion and probably could increase if I gave it a little bit more time and effort. So I like just kind of.
But so most of it is an offshoot of reselling.
I think so, because it all started with it really all started with reselling. I was a stay-at-home mom, and then I decided to sell Gio's baby clothes on an app called Totspot, which was then purchased by Poshmark, and that just started the whole ball rolling.
Got it.
It just kind of went from there. So it's like, it's very, I don't know, it snowballed, and so at some point maybe I'll be Rebecca the e-com person, and not so much Rebecca the reseller anymore. We'll see what happens. But
doesn't have quite the ring to it.
I know, exactly, which is, yes, exactly. But yeah, no, I mean, that's why it's cool, because reselling has so many advantages in that you can pick it up and put it down, or you can choose to dial it forward or dial it back, or list today or not list today, or whatever. So it allows you to be able to do other things, which is why it's the perfect part-time hustle for many people, because you can do your normal day job and then you add in your reselling and you make it work. And that's why I think this series is cool, because it does share with people who perhaps struggle with how to make all of that work. They get exposed to someone like you or someone else that I've had on previously, and they can see themselves a little bit maybe in your schedule, because they might also be a full-time 9-to-5 person, and then they're going to fit it in, and you might share a way that you fit it in that is something that they've never considered before. And you probably can relate to this, and then we'll pop back to the questions about your status. But when you have a YouTube channel and you're exposed to so many different people by putting yourself out there, then they respond back to you and teach you more about other thought processes or ways that they're viewing what you say. So I might intend for something to be said and meant a certain way, but that person receives it based on their experience and their learning process and whatever, and say, well, I heard it like this, or this is what that meant to me, or this is how it impacted me. And you're like, wow, we're all talking about the same thing, but yet we're all seeing it so different, and it means such different things in different people's lives. And that's why the conversations or sharing about your day is so great, because reselling for a lot of people is very isolated. You don't know a lot of resellers, and so you can only find the information on the internet, and make those connections on the internet. So I think that people have a lot to learn from you. So let's see. So how long have you been reselling, did you say?
I just looked it up before this because I wasn't really sure. So I started reselling shortly before I created my YouTube channel.
Okay.
And I uploaded my first YouTube video just over 3 years ago.
Okay.
So I've been reselling for just over 3 years.
Just over 3 years. Okay, cool. Very nice. And so you said previously, I think, but the platforms that you sell on was Poshmark. You just started eBay and Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah. And technically, so I've been selling on Poshmark since the beginning. And technically I started selling on eBay probably over a year ago now, but I haven't been very consistent with it. I'll basically, when I pick up things, when I picked up hard goods, then they would get listed on eBay, and then maybe here or there I would post some clothing over there.
Right.
But recently I've been trying to start cross-listing everything when I've been listing it. And by recently, I mean the last 2 weeks I've been trying to cross-list everything. Okay. And so, but Facebook Marketplace, I actually really enjoying, because on Facebook Marketplace, it's some items, they get no views and they just sit, but then there's other items that immediately sell within a few hours for full price. And I've had that happen. So I probably listed if I had to just make a guess, like 25 items on there, and probably like 6 sold within a few hours for full price.
Wow. And that's
Yeah.
clothing items?
Yeah, clothing items.
Great.
So yeah, it's really exciting when that happens. Like the other day, I listed a purse, a Vera Bradley purse for $20. And I listed it. We went into the grocery store. I came out of the grocery store. I had 2 messages about it, and I was answering the messages. And then I was like, wait, someone already bought this. So I had 2 messages, and the third person had already bought it in the however long it took us to grocery shop.
Wow, that's great.
So yeah, but it seems like the Facebook algorithm either picks it up and shows it to a ton of people and it sells really fast, or it just kind of sits. Yeah. But then you can relist it, and I think sometimes then it gets picked up.
Right.
So
I think I'll because I'm a Vendu user, and so I'll probably dabble into it because they have, that integration, whatever. And but I've never, like, locally we have a really good buy sell trade community. There's several groups in my little neck of Orlando in Florida, and a lot of mommies groups for all the kids stuff. And so yeah, you could post the kids bike that they outgrew, or the water table that they don't use anymore, or whatever. And like exactly what you said, either you're going to get it sold right there, or it's just going to sit. I don't know how the algorithm works when it used to just be less marketplace and more just the groups. Yeah, I'm more familiar with the groups. And so I've never really I did post some clothing items a long time ago, and I didn't really feel like it had any, nothing was going on with it. So I kind of just in my mind assumed it was like, these are for the big things that I'm not going to sell on the internet. You're just kind of looking to get some like I have a vegetable spiralizer that was like, oh, I'm going to make, zucchini noodles. Well, that didn't happen. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to sell the spiralizer. And that thing is still sitting. And it's like a Williams-Sonoma spiralizer. Somebody needs this in their life. Nobody's buying my spiralizer.
As a seller, I've been trying to find the people who have stuff listed, but like good stuff that for whatever reason, their Facebook algorithm hasn't picked up. Because that can be a good sourcing option. Yeah. If they listed something that's a really high quality item, but for whatever reason, Facebook isn't pushing it, then it can sit and sit. And if you send them an offer, they'll take it. So I've done that a couple times. Like, nice. I bought a sliding door kit. I don't know anything about it. I just he had put a picture so I could see the serial number or whatever it was. And they were selling on eBay for like $300, just this like little box. Yeah. And he was selling for $40. So I messaged him like, yes, can I have it? He's like, yeah, it's been sitting forever. You can take it. So it paid $40 and it sold for, I don't know, somewhere between $200 and $300 in just like a couple of weeks.
That's awesome. And I think that's a great tip, thing, because the person that's selling on Facebook Marketplace most of the time, I think, is what I was doing. I just have this crap in my house. It's the pandemic. I'm not having a garage sale, or I don't want to sell it at a garage sale because somebody's going to want to give me $1 for it. So I'm going to put on Facebook Marketplace and try to get $10 for it. But really, if you knew what you had, or you were a person that was a professional seller and is willing to wait on it and do the right kind of listing and whatever, could make a big arbitrage on it. But because I'm just this random person that wants it out of my house, I'm not going to go through all of that. So I definitely think there's probably some really good opportunities like you're finding. So
yeah. And I haven't found the perfect way to do it, but what I try to do is if I see a listing that's for expensive item, I'll click on that person and go see what else I've listed. Because usually if it's the one I'm seeing, then that's the one that the Facebook algorithm has picked up and is pushing to everybody. But if I can go to their other stuff and find something that's more valuable. Another example is I bought a set of Le Creuset like plates and bowls and stuff from somebody. And it was a similar thing where I went to her listings. She's like, this has been listed forever. Nobody's interested. And I paid, I think, $25 for everything. And then I split it up and sold it, and with shipping, I don't know. I have to break it down, but
it was good. It was good.
Yeah, it was good. Definitely.
That's awesome. Well, good. I think that's great. And I mean, one thing will be interesting to find, especially because you do the experiments and stuff on your channel. I'd be interested to see if you haven't already spoken to this and I missed it. Once you do have the bulk of your items that can be listed on the multiple platforms, what percentage of your business comes from that? Because when I had, before the pandemic, when I was selling on Poshmark, eBay, and Mercari, and I had a virtual assistant to help me, I had everything everywhere, but I only really did women's clothing, and that was it. So all the women's clothing were on all 3 platforms, and people would always say, do you do better on Poshmark and eBay? And I would say on any given month, they're about $200 or $300 within each other. every single month. If you have the same exact stuff list, I mean, it could be different for other people, but I just always found that if you have everything posted on both of them are going to do equally well for you. And I guess it would depend on what you have, perhaps, and the nuances of the platforms and how your listing goes. You know, maybe you're more well-versed in one than the other, and that would play into it. But because that was probably the number one question that I got was, which one is better for you? And I would say they're like dead even every time.
Interesting.
You
I feel
up
like
or down $200 or $300 every time, they're even.
Most of the people I know say that eBay is like 2 times as much as Poshmark for them.
Yeah. And I never,
What's your third
it could be
platform?
that I wasn't very good. If you want, Mercari.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And what's Mercari compared to the other two?
Oh, you know,
Yeah.
like, I mean,
See, I haven't prioritized Mercari at all because I haven't heard anyone raving about it.
no, and I think I'm probably having more success with it now than I ever have, because I'm more consistently relisting and delisting, relisting, whatever, now than I ever have, because I have Vendoo, whereas before it was my VA strictly doing everything manually. And now I'm just slowly bringing her back into the mix, but having her use Vendoo, which makes it a little bit more manageable to say, click this button a few times, or do this, do that. And I've come up with, some strategies. Actually, did I record it? I don't know. I have a pile of these are the 3 videos I need to get.
Yeah, the idea.
So I'm like, if somewhere in there, I'm talking about my Mercari thing. But yeah, so I think that now it's a little bit different. The items are better in general than they were before. I have her doing different things in a different way using Vendoo. So Mercari has been better, but it's still not in comparison to the other 2. And I think less people are on Mercari as much as they are on Poshmark. On Poshmark, you have the most chances to influence the sale and capitalize on people's impulsive nature, perhaps.
Yeah.
And then eBay is just a beast in traffic and search. And so that's what it has going for. And if you can put all those little levers going in your favor, you should do well there. And I think why it wasn't that way for me before was because I didn't have all those levers moving in my favor. We were just kind of like checking the boxes, but it wasn't really like, this is the eBay strategy, this is the Poshmark strategy.
Mm-hmm.
We were just doing everything the same everywhere.
Gotcha.
So a lot of lessons learned.
Do you use promoted listings on eBay?
Well, I don't have anything on eBay currently. I think the summer is when I'll
okay,
start dating eBay again, but I'm not happy about it. I'm gonna do it, but I'm not happy about it. And so I did, and I played around with it, and I don't feel like I had any secret trick. I did this, okay. I'll do trending, then I'll do 1%. I mean, yeah, I don't know that it really did.
That's something that's on my list to try out, because I've heard good things, but I also heard things like what you're saying that didn't really make a difference.
That's the thing. I mean, you have to kind of identify someone that you would want to listen to, because there is a lot of information out there, and say, okay, well, I feel pretty good about what you're saying, and let me try to do what you're suggesting or what's worked well for you, and then give it a little bit of a chance to work, which I'm sure you will, because you seem to be pretty analytical with your experiments and such. Give it some time to like marinate and sink in, and then make your own tweaks. I think that's, how do I talk about that with? That's probably one of the big things when looking to someone that puts out content in social media, which I'm sure you knew, because you are one of those people, that you can identify someone that you want to follow what they're doing, but then you can't just follow it blindly, because all of our businesses are so unique and we execute on those strategies so differently that you then do need to kind of internalize it and tweak it to then make it your own. You could start with modeling someone, but then you kind of have to make it your own thing. And I think that's when people get disappointed, because they'll say, Rebecca, you said whatever the heck, and that didn't work. Well,
I think whenever I give advice, I try to caveat it with anything I can think of off the top of my head. That would be like my couple of videos ago, I did a video about like jeans that are selling well, but I don't want everybody to go out and buy all the jeans, every pair of can jeans they see. Yes. So that's the one I was listening to. I try to caveat it with, but this, and think about this, and look it up. And then the main thing is look up the style, and make sure it's in good condition. And then if the style looks good, the condition is good, then you buy it.
Right. And I mean, there's a lot that could be said in and around all of that. You know, how much effort someone wants to put in, or do they just expect someone to give them the magic answer and they just want to follow it, but they don't really want to think about it and analyze it. And that's the problem. I think we're similar in that we do that. And then we also do that when we put out our content. So the people that happen to dig our content are the people that would also be likely to do that. And so
and that's true
when it kind of works okay.
yeah, definitely. Like I give a lot of details, and some people that's not what they enjoy. So there's someone else out there for them.
Oh yes. No, people come to like, they wrote on, I think it was my Mercari video, which is probably oddly enough, like one of the very first videos I put out, and one that's done so well because I just must have been the person that said the things, and, you know, the algorithm picked it up, and, you know, the tags and the title and the thumbnail and all of it just happened to work in my favor. And so, you know, that's one of my best performing videos, but then I get the most random comments on it because it's not someone that's following me that knows my deal. It's someone that just found me because of that video and they want to add their 2 cents, which is fine. I welcome all the cents, and including nonsense. And so they, like the guy wrote, I think it was a guy, and he wrote, a little long-winded, but good information. I'm like, okay, thanks for that. Like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Whenever I have a video get picked up, that's the one I get the most negative comments on.
Or
one time, one of my friends, the reseller community, gave me a shout out, and they have a much bigger channel, and I got a bunch of new people coming to my channel. And so on the positive side, I got 1,000 new subscribers, which was amazing. Nice. But on the negative side, there's people who came who didn't like me, and some of them let me know.
And they want to tell you all about it. But that's I like that. It's good. It's good because if you want to hear all the people that do like you tell you nice stuff all the time, and so it's good to get both sides of it. I think it's good to get both sides. I mean, for the most part, I was in sales. I have a pretty thick skin. As long as it's all just, you know, criticism about the video and things like that, you know, I do pay attention to it. I take it in, and we see if it influences any changes or not. Sometimes yes.
So you probably don't know this, but I actually have a second YouTube channel, and
I heard it. I haven't watched it.
Okay. It's for just like personal life updates, but I haven't really used it much at all. But I did post a couple of videos when I had COVID about my symptoms, and that video that like blew up. The comments are ridiculous. I had to turn off the comments, which I've never done. I didn't turn them off completely. I just set them on review. Like I have to review them before they show. And it's just crazy the stuff that people say. Most of the time they're not talking about me though. It's just because it's a video about COVID. So the comments are like just insane.
A lot of things. Yes. Okay. So are you solo or do you have helpers?
I'm solo.
Solo. And social media status, we talked. So YouTube, Instagram, double YouTube and Instagram. Okay. Family status, married, kids, single, loving it.
I'm married, no kids yet.
Okay. So,
just got married in July, so it was a crazy
congratulations. year. Yeah, I don't know if I knew. I don't know if I knew that. So that's awesome. Yeah, because I think that plays into, because this is such a lifestyle business. I don't know that that's a real thing, but it depends a lot on your lifestyle, and it creeps into all the crevices of your lifestyle. I think for people, especially in reselling, which maybe it's more women, that happen to watch other women or whatever. And I know for me, like my audience is not probably your age. I kind of have the older crowd.
My audience,
the been there, done that crowd. So
I think my audience average is like 15 years older than me.
Real well, and that's what I think it's because the way that you put out your content, it is more analytical, it is more informative, and you can do this, but you can also do this. And I don't know for sure. I just think that I talk about her all the time, the young, super cute Poshmark girl. So, who were buying all the anthropology to sell to that's on Poshmark, that's also wanting to know how to make more daily sales on Poshmark, and, all of that stuff. Like, that girl doesn't watch my channel. I've found out. YouTube has told me she does not dig me, and that's fine. So
I do wonder as I start to do more videos about eBay and Facebook Marketplace, if maybe I'll get some men. Like, my channel is like 90-something% women.
Yep. Yep.
But I feel like Poshmark users are like 80. I can never remember the numbers. I should write them down because this comes up every time I do it.
Really?
So, but I think it's like 80 something % of users on Poshmark are women. So of course, if I make Poshmark content, I'm mostly gonna have Poshmark viewers. So I mean, female viewers.
Yeah, female viewers. Yep. No, I agree. And I think too, in general, there are, if you're talking about clothing and women's clothing, regardless of where you sell it, it's going to be more women selling women's clothing. Like, I know there's men selling women's clothing, but most of the time, if you're doing a haul and it's a Goodwill haul or whatever, and it's women's, you know what, no matter where you sell it,
right.
You know, I think a lot of men that do it are pickers. Like, they don't necessarily even have a, you know, they're going to do the remotes and they're going to do, you know, they're going to just do a lot of different stuff. Whereas I think clothing sellers are more, I do clothing, that's it. Like, I don't want to sell anything. Like, I do clothing, that's it. It took me long enough to figure out about bell sleeves. Like, I don't want to figure out about how a remote works. No, no. Okay. And then your business location, you do everything at home. You have a storage unit, warehouse.
Everything at home. Right now we have like 2 rooms in the basement. Like, one has a freezer and one has the washer and dryer. And the room with the freezer, I have all my inventory in. So I have like shelves in there. And then I have this room that it's my Poshmark room.
Yay.
So we have rules at my house. All of the reselling stuff must be in those 2 spaces.
Yes, contain. No Goodwill bags in a hallway anywhere or on a couch somewhere.
In 3 of those rooms.
Yes, I've had several talking tos about that, or he's had them with me, I guess we could say. That's why I got the storage unit, because people have asked, you know, how and when. I said it was in pending divorce or, you know, storage unit, and that's how that happens. So yes.
See, whenever I tell my husband, I could just get a storage unit and then it wouldn't be here, he's like, I think that says you have a problem. Like, it's not a problem if there's inventory. He's like, you should scale down to how much inventory you have if you need to get a storage unit. And so I don't know. We're still debating about.
Tell that to Walmart. Tell Walmart to get a storage unit, or tell, you know, like, say, listen, I'm trying to run a business here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's silly. No, we don't know. Tell them to take those comments, put them somewhere else. But, you know, too, and I've recently started talking about things like this when I do like Poshmark closet reviews and stuff, is like, because people want to know how many items, right? How many items till I make daily sales? How many items till, you know, I make this much money? It's not a numbers game, yet it is a numbers game, right? It's not an exact numbers game. But every day, if you have 300 items up, you have 300 chances to make a sale. You don't have 400 chances, you have 300 chances. And tomorrow, if you list 10 items, then you'll have 310 chances to make a sale. So it does matter how many, but at the same time, if all 310 of them are, you know, Angie sundresses that someone picked up on their vacation in the Bahamas, you know, like, that may not exactly work as much.
Yeah. For me, it's more like how much am I listing and how good is the quality? And if I'm listing good quality stuff, like on Sunday, I think I listed 7 things and 4 of them sold within like 5 days. So
nice. That's the way to do it.
I mean, right. It depends on what price you listed at, how many platforms you listed, all those different things, but you can turn stuff fast for good profit if you have good stuff.
Absolutely. Now, do you track total value? Like, do you add up not just the number that you list, 7 items, but the value that added to your closet, or do anything with the value? I'm just curious.
No, I mean, I like per individual item when I'm buying it, I think about how much profit am I going to make? Right. And then that determines if I'm going to buy it or not. But then when I go to list, I'm just like trying to get as many things listed as I can. Gotcha. Whereas Sunday I had a bunch of other stuff going on. So 7 is not like a good day, but it was better than 0.
I think that's great I think 7 is great for a part-time person. Absolutely. Yeah. How many do you normally list? We should cover that.
Well, so my typical listing procedure, that sounds so formal, but
that's great. We love procedures here.
Yeah. I tried to have, so this is also just so different than what I hear other people say, but I try to have 2 days a month where I try to list as much as possible. And then other than that, I don't worry about it. Like, if I list some stuff other days, good, but I try to have 2 days a month where I just have a bunch of inventory ready and I just list all day.
Interesting.
So
you just list 2 days a month for the most part, and then the rest of the days you don't.
I'm only strict about the 2 days a month, and then obviously like I
if you
did
have
Saturday,
more.
Sunday or whatever. Yeah. But
Interesting.
yeah.
So you're not, because I know that you've talked about the algorithm, things like that. So you're not a believer of consistent listing, daily listing,
I
things
think
like
it can
that.
help because every day you're going to be at the top of the search for newly listed items.
Mhm.
But if you list everything, but only for the items that you newly listed. But if you list them all on the same day, all 50 of those items are going to be top of the newly listed. And so
Mhm.
for that day, you're going to get a ton of traffic.
Mhm.
And yeah, I don't know. I've been thinking about this more because I feel like
With
I wish I could know
eBay, it's
exactly.
got to have altered your thoughts on that though.
Yeah.
With
So,
eBay.
okay. So I was live on Tommy Bernard and Tracy Park's channel,
Mhm.
and they've been on eBay forever, and their viewers are like, you know, veterans of eBay. And I asked them, like, I've heard so many people say that listing daily on eBay is way more important than it is on other platforms.
Right.
And that's just not like my normal style.
Right.
Like I'll list a ton at
That
once
would be a big change.
and then I'll just share it every day to get those listings boosted.
Yeah.
And so I asked them, like, should I just take a bunch of photos and then list a couple every day? And they and their viewers were, well, the people that were commenting were saying that it doesn't matter either way which one you do. Yeah. When I'm like, I've heard so many people say that on eBay you have to list consistently.
Well, and you know, it's interesting because I've thought about this again as a person that puts out content. There's a lot of there's different kinds of people out there that will view all the information you put out differently. And like we said, some will do exactly what you say, and some won't think about it and do the caveats, and some will just kind of like, you know, follow it, but then they'll kind of make it their own. And some aren't going to listen to you, but they're not going to execute on what you say, but they don't mind listening to you and see if you have any good points.
Right.
But I think the people that listen but don't do are a lot, you know, like there's a lot of people that listen, that want the content, that want to get the information, but then don't do it. So if you can be a person that talks about all the things that you should be doing, that gives you a lot of content to put out that people are going to watch, even if they're not actually doing it. I mean, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But you know, I'm a person that puts out content, and whether or not the person executes on it has no bearing on me. I'm going to keep putting it out because I want the best for whoever does want to improve their business and their things that I've done. But it doesn't matter if you ever actually do it. So if you say list 2 days and then don't list anything, well, then what else am I supposed to say? But if I say, well, you got to list every day and you got to do this and you got to do that, there's more things for us to discuss. There's more content to be made. There's more people to get in the conversation and share all the things that work better or don't. So I like listening what people have to say, and I like figuring out how to internalize it for myself. And I do tests and things myself. I don't put them as much as like you do, like with an experiment. I get caught up in like, I start tracking something like, I'm going to make this video, I'm going to do this. And then I just kind of like peter out.
Yeah,
I never make the video again. It's like,
you know, for every
experiment
video like it's posted, there's probably 3 that I started and I never finished.
It's hard to keep track and like do a long-term kind of video thing, I found.
But I think that is why they do so well, because they're rare, because they take so much work and like consistency. But I actually did last year where I was posting, I think for a month I was doing 3 items a day on eBay, and I got to like day 20 and then I fell off. And then like that was also the time where like my COVID was hitting, because I think I started like right before COVID, so like things got crazy. And so so that one's the one that I put a lot of time and effort into. I even recorded like a 10-day, another 10-day, and I never did anything with it.
You know what though, it actually could probably be very funny and / entertaining to put up like the failed experiment, like, well, I started tracking all of this, it was all going in the right direction, and then here's what happened, or like, here's my results so far, sorry to leave you hanging, you know.
Right. Yeah, no,
next season. I'm
like, you're just gonna have to do it again. Like, you have to do it. But
that could be funny.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's start talking about your day, because I'm enjoying the conversation. So we may have to then do it again or just talk on our own, because I'm enjoying the conversation with you very much. And I think that people that are watching hopefully will as well. But I also want to be mindful of your time and those watching to talk a little bit about the day, because like I said, I really do. The reason why I did this series was because I felt strongly that some people are blessed with the gift of time management, fitting everything in, finding a way for everything to work, and some aren't, and look to other resellers to see, how do you do it? Do you do, everything, Monday, and then you have different things you do on Tuesday, or do you do like you do, 2 days sprint of listing and just till you can't list anymore and your head's going to pop off, and then you don't have to worry about listing the rest of the month? Like, I just really think that there's value in that. I'm fascinated by people's days. So
yeah. So
talk
my
about
2 listing
typical
days are every other Saturday.
Okay.
Well, that's my goal. I mean, like this past weekend, I had a wedding on the Saturday, and that would have been my listing day. So I have to shift things around a little bit. And like on a weekly schedule, typically like, well, every night, not every night, but how many days in a week? 7. I probably ship 4 days a week at least. But like tonight, I have 2 sales so far today. So some point tonight, I'll package those up and go ship those out. The nice thing is that our grocery store has a drop off, and they scan packages till 9 p.m.
Oh,
So yeah, so as long as I get there before 9, there's never a line.
Great.
They're never crabby. They never argue with me about my packages, which the post office used to do.
Is that like a local or like a big chain grocery store?
So it's a chain in the Midwest. Hy-Vee is the grocery store.
Oh, okay. I've heard of it. Okay. Gotcha.
So yeah, so they have like a drop off, and it's, like I said, it's so nice because when I went to post office, there'd always be this long line. They're open from like 8:30 to 4:30 when I'm working.
Yeah.
And then they would argue with me about like my medium flowery boxes. Whereas with this place, they're so nice. There's never a line. Well, not never. There's rarely a line. And they just take my packages. And then usually at this point, if they recognize me, they're like, okay, have a good day. Like they don't even wait for me. Just they'll scan them once I leave.
Right.
So it's really convenient. And then it's right next door to the gym I go to. So it's just, I can go to the gym, drop off my packages, and then come back home.
Nice. You do that at 9 o'clock? No.
Well, it just depends. I'll do it.
Oh my gosh. I was like, oh my God, working out at 9.
Sometime between when I get off work at 9 p.m.
Oh, you get off of work at that time.
No, I said sometime between when I get off work.
Oh, when you get off. Oh, okay. Gotcha. So, but you work in your actuary job is a normal 9 to 5 type thing. Okay.
Yep.
So that's where you are. Now, do you do any reselling tasks before you head to work on a typical day? Or are you more of I deal with it at night?
If I don't go at night to the post office, then I'll do it on the way to work in the morning. I usually go at night, but sometimes, and also like because of COVID, I've been working from home 99% of the time. I'll go to the office every once in a while, but like today I'm working from home. Once we get off this call, I'll go back to work.
Okay.
And yeah, most days I'm working from here. So in the morning, I just get ready and log on as soon as I'm ready. Log on for work.
What is an actuary? I'm sure I should know, but I don't.
No, that's okay. I think the textbook definition is like someone who quantifies risk. So
I thought it was something. Yeah.
So like, and there's also a whole series of exams I had to take to become an actuary. And the exams are like, well, they're about like the introductory ones. There's like a probability exam. There's like a lot of calculus in some of the introductory ones. And then the upper level ones, you pick a specialty. So I chose corporate finance and enterprise risk management.
Okay.
And so it might be like, if your company is facing this crisis, what are the risks that you should be considering? What's some options you can do to reduce those risks? And you just like, some of my exams were just about like, what risks should a company be monitoring and how can they monitor them? How can they hedge those risks so not worry about them as much?
And is that the same as someone that, like, it's probably from a movie, I think, where they decide if you should make the recall or not? Is it financially in your best, like if you're for the company, is it financially better or not to issue the recall?
That would be kind of, I don't know, it'd be something that our education would allow us to come up with a quantitative answer to that. But most actuaries work for insurance companies. So I work for a life insurance company and I price life insurance. So I'm looking at what's the risk that somebody dies at this age or this age, and how do we make sure that the customer is getting the benefit, but we're making a little bit of profit, and the salesperson's getting a little bit of profit too.
Right.
So basically, how do we come up with packages that cover all of our risks? The customer gets what they need out of it, company does, and death is super uncertain, so we don't know exactly when it's going to happen. So we need to account for whenever it could happen.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and I think pricing life insurance is the most stereotypical role of an actuary. So right now I am in like the textbook actuarial role, but there are actuaries that do other things.
Yeah,
as well.
I feel like it's from a movie or something. But it's not.
Well, along came Polly.
Is it Fight Club? Is the guy an actuary in Fight Club?
I think the only one I know of is on Along Came Polly. The guy is an actuary, and
he's a
Ben Stiller too. Yeah.
Maybe it's that. Maybe it's not Fight Club. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. I'll have to think about it. Like on a tangent in my head about because that's fascinating to me, that like that role, but also, that then influences all the skill set that you have, how you think about things, and that now fully explains your YouTube channel.
Right.
how you the skill set that you bring to Poshmark and analyzing things like that, because a lot of it is the risk of, should I buy this? What's the probability that it's going to sell? What's the probability that it's going to sell for the price that I want it to within a reasonable time frame that I want it to? And I don't know that that's how you actually look at it all, but I'm also fascinated by, we all bring something to reselling from our other life, right? And I was in sales and an event planner and a communications major, and so that brings a certain something. And then I've talked to several people, whether it's on YouTube or just other things in the reselling community, and they work in a police environment, and so everything is very protocol SOP driven, and that's what led me to create the sales phrases guide that I made, this digital download, because she said to me, I don't know what else to say. Like I don't have the skill set to communicate to the buyer all these things that I want to put in the description. I don't have those words, and it takes me a long time to figure that out, because part of I believe part of your description should be, keywords to get found in search, right? Things to pull up, things to include you in a search, but also that's a functional role. But then the other part of it is to kind of paint a little picture, perhaps, because some people do want to be sold to. Some people want you to tell them what they could wear this with, or what it goes with, or what it's appropriate to wear it to, or whatever. And some people just have trouble with that kind of thing. And so that's why I find it very interesting that, you have this skill set that helps you out in your day job. And then I'm sure some of it somehow spills over into reselling. You may not even realize it. Do you think?
No, it definitely did.
Okay.
It definitely does. And into YouTube too, because a lot of my job, I guess I shouldn't say a lot, as you go higher up, your job becomes more of what I'm about to say, is like taking things that might be complicated and explaining them as simply as possible to people who don't understand the complicated behind the scenes. So you have to know, like, at what level do you explain it, and what are your main points you want to get across, and that translates very well to YouTube. Like, for the viewers watching, these are the main things I want them to know, so let's start from there and then build off of what details of the experiment or whatever do I want to talk about. Or like last year when I did the Poshmark improvement survey, I don't know if you saw that video.
I saw part. I don't, my life doesn't allow me to always watch videos all the way through. I started it.
Okay.
Watch it all the way through.
Maybe that tells you I put too many details in it. But so for that survey, I had I think it was 1,200 people answered it. But that was like a perfect example of where my full-time job made it way easier to do that, to like summarize the information, break it down, and dig into the data to say, what do I want to know from this information, and what stands out as odd. That's also a lot of my job, is like taking data, summarizing it, and then reviewing it for like, what do I expect, and does the data meet what I expect it to? So with the survey, similarly, like sometimes I would say, this doesn't make sense from what I would intuitively think. So what else is going on here? So
That's interesting. Okay, cool. I love that. I love that. Okay, so in the morning, not so much reselling happening. Go to the day job time. Then you come home and you're not doing a daily listing habit. So do you photograph daily? Do you prep daily? I'm sure you have some sort of sharing habit daily. Like what are the daily kinds of things, and what are the things that you do on some other
I mean, I think
basis?
daily is like sharing, responding to offers, shipping.
Okay.
Those are non-negotiables that happen every day.
Great. Okay.
And listing, like I said, there's 2 days a month where that is my number one priority. And then it happens sometimes other days. Like
And what's
a couple
the
of weeks ago,
expectation? So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. What is the expectation as far as a number that you try to get done? Is there any expectation?
I mean, my goal is 50. And I was doing that for a little while, but more recently, I've been like whittling down my death pile, and now into the items that are harder. So like 25 is more like my goal, because I have to, you know, like clean a bunch of shoes, or like what was I doing last week? I don't know. There was something last weekend that was taking me forever to get ready. But every time when I get to these items, it makes me like, okay, would I buy this again? Because how much time am I putting into it? And I need to factor that in next time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I will go on stints. Like a couple weeks ago, I have a bunch of bridesmaids dresses. So I was like, just list 2 a day after work. And so I was listing 2 a day every day. Okay. And that's more just like to keep myself motivated to get through them. And bridesmaid dresses just take so long to steam, to make sure they don't have stains, to do measurements. Yeah. And so 2 a day is easier on those than like 50 a day.
Absolutely. Oh,
and I don't make that many.
I think things like that for me, I've come to the point where it's like something that takes too long or has a flaw, or, you know, anything other than like the pristine, perfect thing. It's either, if it's got a flaw, I'm not even doing it anymore for the most part. I have flaws boxes that I sell, and, you know, I allow people that have the patience to put into an item that they don't mind, that they have the space to let things hang dry, that, you know, maybe they see it as a challenge, then in that like brings them some kind of satisfaction. Cause like for me, to sweep a floor, I have inherent satisfaction with sweeping a floor. I like seeing the pile of stuff that I've collected at the end. That makes me feel good. I have no problem sweeping. But like to sit there and try to clean an item, I get no satisfaction out of it. It completely drains me of life. I have no patience for it. I don't want to do it. I don't like, it's not for me. And so, and my husband doesn't like seeing things hanging all over the bathroom drying or whatever. So I don't like dealing with flawed items. So like I've just made that decision now, like flawed items are not for me anymore. Bridesmaids dresses or anything that's considered like a formal dress, I send off to thread up because I don't want to photograph it, or like you said, go through and try to check. Like I've just gotten to the point where it's like, if it's not making me happy in this moment to actually want to list it, like I'm just not dealing with it. I'm going to find some other way to make that still perhaps make money for me, but I can't do it. It's been 5 years. I'm like, I'm finished.
Last year I sold a couple bundles of flawed items for the same reason. I'm like, just not worth the effort for me to put into these, and I don't want to do it. So I just posted them. I think I actually just posted them on Instagram, and then people bought from me. Yeah. But I remember what it was I was doing on Sunday. I had like a bunch of leather stuff. So I was like leather treating it, which I don't mind doing that because it's just like swipe, 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 swipe. Like it's not like one of the items that was in my flawed items that now I'm like, I should have probably dealt with that. It was like an Arc'teryx jacket, which was probably worth so much. I should have taken the time, but it had so much dog hair in it. And I washed it and it was covered, and I would have had to like take a tweezers and like pull out each dog hair. Yep. And that to me is like, I do not want to do that. Yeah. So tedious. Yeah, no. But that's the one out of all the stuff I've sold in the flawed bundles that I'm like, maybe I should have, because it's such a good brand. I don't know. No, I've definitely put some good stuff in there that probably for the person that has the patience, or even just knows, like I should know basic stain treating things, but even in my regular life, if Gio gets something on his little shorts or his little shirt, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to deal with that. I'm just like, I'm going to get rid of it because I just don't want to sit there. Like, I just don't, no. So I think that, everyone knows themselves and they know what things make them happy to list. Like this coat. I mean, people that watch my video, I don't know why I have a problem with this coat. It's so beautiful. It's a new with tags halogen. I should want to list this, but I just know it's going to be a pain in the neck to fold up. It's not going to fit in my regular bag. I'm going to have to like shove it in there. And so
I've skipped over it so many times because I don't want to do.
Yeah. So like I said, I've been getting through my death pile. So right now I'm looking at the items that are left. We've got like this bootleg Tommy Hilfiger coat, which I don't think I can legally list on eBay or Poshmark. And so it's been sitting there for like years because like this is always the last item of my death pile because I don't know what to do with it. I might just donate it because
I think you need to donate it.
Yeah. And then I have 2 wool items that need to be cleaned. And in one of my videos, people told me how to clean wool. And I need to go buy I don't remember what it's called, like Wool Light maybe or something.
I don't
know.
I mean, I know Wool Light. I know that exists.
Yeah, there were like 3 comments on my video where I got one of the wool items where people told me what to get. So I need to clean those. And then like my sister's prom dress. And then I have an item that I got returned and I need to like re-photograph it because I don't have the pictures anymore because it was like so long ago. So I'm getting down though to only having bridesmaid dresses left. I have probably 10 items in bridesmaid dresses.
What is your philosophy on death pile? And maybe it's now influenced or has changed because of COVID, maybe not, but what is so first of all, you do call it a death pile.
Yeah.
And you believe in having one, you believe in not having one?
I've been
always a hot topic.
So hard to get rid of my death pile.
Okay.
So
you would prefer not to have extra items around.
As a very part-time reseller, I do not need a death pile, and it is just a burden. It is like a guilt weighing on my conscience when I want to go thrifting or I want to go garage selling, and I know I have unlisted inventory. And I also think for a lot of people, the idea that, oh, I could have some for a rainy day is actually really bad because it means they have way too much inventory. And they keep thrifting because they have in their head, oh, I need my rainy day fund. I'm like, I feel like more people need to think about how many items can I list in a month and how long would a rainy day fund need to be and come up with a number so that, I don't know, I just feel like I've talked to some people that, in my opinion, there's way too many items in their rainy day fund.
And I partially agree with you for sure, because I do think that a lot of people really love the thrifting. And the listing is probably one of the least things, or then it's the things that collect that they probably shouldn't have bought. And so then they, like you say, like the Tommy Hilfiger, not that you shouldn't have bought that, whatever, but it's those same things that keep ending up in the death pile. So they might have added to it, listed the newer stuff, but those same things are still there. It's more of a procrastination pile of, I don't know what to do with it, or I can't bring myself to admit that I made a mistake here, or, something like that. But as a person, and maybe it's because I have kids, and so your life then becomes other than yourself. And so that's not a judgment or anything. It's just, there could be a time where you plan to go thrifting, but then you can't because the kid's got a fever and barfed everywhere, or, because then there's a last minute appointment, or somebody had a birthday party. And so you can't go thrifting at the clearance sale at Style Encore on Saturday, like you planned, because Joey's having a dinosaur birthday and we're really into dinosaurs right now,
Yeah. And so, I think that's what I'm thinking in my mind is like, I feel like other than a pandemic, like 200 items is probably plenty to have in a rainy fund.
Right.
And I feel like some people have like
it shouldn't be rooms, right?
They have like thousands. Yeah, exactly. And like, well, just in case. And it's like, don't give yourself that, like, sit down and figure out, like, what do I need this for and how many do I really need? And then how much is probably an issue.
I agree. Same like when people would want to calculate an emergency fund. What are my month's expenses of bare minimum, not with all of my subscription services, but what do I barely need to survive in a month times 6? That's what I need in my emergency fund. So what's my minimum amount of listings that I need to do every month for however long I think I can't go out, whether it's, a pandemic aside, but, some people have it because of weather. Some people have it because of kids. There was a period of time though where I had, and I never called it a death pile, because in my mind, it's not a death pile. It's unlisted inventory. It is inventory I've yet to list. My intention is to list it. It will get listed. I just didn't get to it yet. And the reason I didn't get to it yet is because I put it there on purpose, because I had a photographer and a VA who relied on me for a certain amount of items every week. And if my crazy life got out of whack where I couldn't go sourcing, or I didn't find anything that was worth sourcing that week, I'm going to go to her and say, oh, I'm sorry, no salary this week because I don't have any items. No.
Yeah.
So I always had in bins on the side of my storage unit at least 2 weeks worth to fulfill for my photographer so that she would always have a steady flow of work. You know, with, you know, in case something went awry with me and I couldn't source, then I'd be able to make up for it. So I think that's another.
Yeah. And again, I think it depends a lot on your situation. Yours totally mentioned. And I think a lot of people just say like, oh, I always have extra inventory because of the like rainy day, or like I might need it. But there's a lot of people who just use that as a way to just keep thrifting and keep piling up the unlisted inventory. And so I've been like telling, like, I think I got to the point I had like 500 unlisted items or something. I'm like, I list 100 items a month. I'm like, Amber, reality check.
Right. That's a good point. That's a good point. No, but that's exactly a good point.
So I'm down to about 100 now because I have a lot of bridesmaids dresses. So I'm trying to get through them. What is today? April 14th. Like April 14th. Yeah. My mom and I are going to Denver May 13th. And so I'm trying to get them all listed before we go to Denver. So like for the first time in like 2 years, I won't have a death pile. So that's my goal.
Good. All right. Well, let's go ahead and see, you know, if you have any kind of last minute thoughts, things you want to share. You know, there might be some people watching my channel that haven't, you know, met with you yet. So, you know, any general philosophy things or anything that you like to part with for today?
I feel like generally when I talk to people, they're most interested in like, what are my tips for Poshmark, since that's where my content's mostly been. Yeah. So I guess if you aren't familiar with Poshmark and you're going to list there, the main things I would say are share your listings, your own listings to your followers. Yep. And the reason for that is you get boosted in the search. Like the search automatically filters by who has shared their listings most often. So if someone searches for American Eagle jeans and yours were the last shared, it'll be at the top of the search. So share your own listings. And then my second tip would be to send offers. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but on Poshmark, most of my sales come from offers. And I think that people who don't make a lot of sales there, if they go and send a bunch of offers out, then they'll see a pickup in their sales. Oh yeah. And like as a buyer, when I go and I like things, probably at least half of them send me an offer within an hour. Which tells you other buyer or other sellers are sending offers. So it becomes an expectation of the buyer. Yeah, those are my two main tips, I think, for Poshmark.
I agree with those. Yep, absolutely. I agree with those. So great. Well, tell everybody again where they can find you.
Yeah, go check out my YouTube channel, Amber Resells. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, go ahead, but no promises on how good the quality is going to
be. That's a fun spot. You should definitely follow her there. Yeah. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you, Amber, for joining me. I really appreciate it. It was a great conversation. I definitely could have chatted longer. I just looked at the time. I'm like, oh no, we have to stop.
Let's go back to my full-time job.
Oh my gosh, but I do appreciate it. And for those watching, go ahead and follow and subscribe to Amber. And don't forget to subscribe here if this is your first time. Thanks so much. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.